Hello and welcome to Turning Lewks, a beauty and cosmetics podcast. I am your host, Darren, and I am full of a cold. So I'm very, very sorry if you can hear that in my voice right now. I think the chat that we have with our guest this week, my cold wasn't as strong then. So when we get to that part, hopefully it won't be as annoying and as strong for that. Fingers crossed. But before we get into the chat, let's do our normal segment of some beauty news. And this week, we're all about the end of year roundups and companies coming out with their indexes and telling us what the best products are and what the best companies are. So we've got two different ones this week that I'm going to talk about. So Allure have recently come out with their beauty top picks, best of beauty in 2023, and there are some interesting picks on it. Now, around and on the internet, I've kind of been seeing different influencers kind of talking about this best of beauty and kind of criticizing it for some of the products not being super new or not coming out this year, or in their opinion, not being spoken about much. And I think it's really interesting and really important to remember that the cosmetics world is bigger than social media. It's bigger than what influencers are talking about, and it's bigger than what TikTok is telling us is going viral. Because a lot of the time, those things aren't actually going viral or aren't actually that popular. So there clearly is this disconnect between what companies like Allure, what consumers are buying, and what social media is actually saying. Now, there's also the other side of it that actually a lot of people have paid to be where they are on these lists and have paid to be here. So there's also that to take into consideration, but that's also the same for a lot of influencers when they do reviews of products. So let's get into it. The base winners in Allure's Best of Beauty 2023. We have the Best Powder Highlight, which went to Rare Beauty's Positive Light Silky Touch Highlighter. And I find this really, really interesting. I remember when it first came out, it was very much harking back to 2014, 2016, those bright popping highlighters. So it's interesting to see that they've kind of resurged and that's really, really popular again. The Best Foundation Stick is the Westman Atelier. I've actually tried this at Liberty in London, and I think it's a really cool makeup stick. I don't think you get a lot of product in it, but I mean, it's Western Atelier. It's super expensive, but there's a lot of skincare benefits in it. And obviously that's a big trend at the moment, is merging skincare and makeup into one. The best contour stick came up from Milk Makeup's contour stick, which I find interesting. When I swatched that in Sephora, it was very warm tone with lighter shades. So it wasn't the best one for me, and they're tiny. They are very, very tiny. Best loose powder was the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder in Ultra Blur. I didn't like the Laura Mercier setting powder when I had it. I ended up decluttering it. I found it too thick and heavy. This is, I think, the Ultra Blurring one, which I haven't tried. I tried the one with the black lid, and this is the one with the cream lid, but it's not something I wanted to try anyway. And then interestingly, some of the categories I find in Allure's Best of Beauty are so bizarre. Like, you had best contour stick, but then you've got best contour wand, which feels like there's only a very small amount of products can really be awarded this award. And that went to the e.l.f. Halo Wand contours, which I actually really love. I like the one in the lighter shade. It's cool enough for me. And it's nice, drugstore. Not many of these options here are drugstore. Next up, we have eyes, and eyes are a very weird category. We had the best 4-color eyeshadow palette, which went to Maybelline New York blocks, these like stack ones, which is interesting. It didn't go to like a standard quad. It went to this like stackable one. Best clear brow gel went to Live Tinted Hue Brow Clear Setting Gel, which didn't go to any of like the big, like, even Rare Beauty, e.l.f., or any of those ones that had like those laminated brows. It went to Tinted, which again, this dichotomy of what social media says is popular and what actually is popular is very, very interesting when these kind of takes come out. The last category I'm going to talk about before we move on to our next news story, lips. Let's talk about lips. So lips, we had best matte lipstick went to Jensine Pick Me matte lipstick. Again, as a different brand that you don't hear people talking about a lot online, but it's nice to see. Best sheer lipstick went to Clinique's Almost Lipstick in Black Honey, which they've just come out with Pink Honey as well. So clearly that is very popular. It's been popular for a while. Best tinted lip balm, Summer Fridays. Best glossy liquid lipstick went to Makeup by Mario's Moisture Glow. I don't see many people talking about that, but there's been so many of these like glossy liquid lipsticks that have come out this year. Kind of would have thought maybe it would have gone to Lady Gaga's. That has been really super popular, but it didn't. Best lip liner went to YSL's Beauty Speak Love Smooth Glide Lip Liner Pencil. That is a long name, And then the best lip oil went to Clarins. Would have thought it maybe would have gone to Dior, but it didn't. And that's the interesting thing to take from this, as I keep saying. And this is the conversation we have in this week's episode with Tom, who I'm really excited to get into very, very shortly. But before that, let's get into the second news of this week. This is something that I find super duper interesting. There's been an index come out called See Me Index, introducing the inaugural See Me Index for Beauty, a comprehensive assessment of the top 40 US beauty brands and their consumer-facing inclusivity efforts. So this looks at three different components: ads, products, and EDI commitments across 6 identity dimensions, including gender expression, skin tone, age, observed sexual orientation, body size, and visible disability. Which are all, I guess, very important things when it comes to talking about beauty in the beauty space. You need to be inclusive in this day and age. This index has said the top brand for being inclusive is MAC Cosmetics, which I'm not surprised about. I mean, their slogan is about all genders, all races, all sexes. Like, that's their thing. It's about everyone being part of it, and that's kind of where the foundations of MAC were. So yeah, they've got multi-year efforts to elevate and support Black and LGBTQIA plus communities across the gender spectrum via ads, products, and charitable commitments. So yeah, their external EDI commitments is super high. Their product lineup is also really high, almost at full. And their public advertisement commitments are just over half, but they are at the top. Other brands that made it onto the top, we see Dove. Number 3 is Estee Lauder, which I was kind of surprised at. I've seen a lot of Estee Lauder products that their product lineups aren't that inclusive, but I guess overall there is a lot more there. 4 was L'Oreal Paris, which again is nice to see some drugstore brands up here. Next is NYX Cosmetics. Again, good to see some drugstore brands up here. And I mean, brands like NYX and L'Oreal do have quite good shade ranges at least, and do try and show a range of beauty within their products and how they advertise them. However, let's talk about the bottom of this index. What's at 39? What's second from the bottom on this list? What popular brand is second from the bottom on this list? Kylie Cosmetics. Kylie Cosmetics is 39 on this list. And for a brand as popular as it is, for a brand that's from a Kardashian or Kardashian Jenner, who, are all about appropriating Black culture, how low down they are on this list is just super disappointing, super ironic, and just really frustrating that you're profiting off of cultures and communities that you're then clearly not serving as well. 38 is Dior. Again, really disappointing for a brand that has so much money, has such a big history in fashion and cosmetics, and you're doing so little for diversity and inclusion, both externally in your EDI commitments, your product lineup, and your public advertising. 37 was CoverGirl, which is a very much a US-centric brand. Again, disappointing to see. It's a drugstore brand. There's a lot of opportunity there to be more diverse. We see it in L'Oreal, NYX, Maybelline, Revolution. If all those brands can do it, CoverGirl should be able to do it. And then another one along those lines, Colourpop, we see that constantly everywhere. That's 36. It's 4th from the bottom on this list of not being good enough, not doing enough, not being where it should be at in 2023. And I think influencers and content creators really need to get to a place where you stop talking about these brands that are not doing enough for diversity to make them accessible to all people. Beauty, makeup, cosmetics should be accessible to all people. And that's all we have for beauty news this week. Now let's get into the chat with Tom. It's a really, really great, interesting chat about beauty, about influencing, about content creation, and it really, really opened my eyes to a different kind of way to look at these things. And also our first episode with a guest who's across the pond. This person is based in America, so it's really, really great to have them on. I hope you enjoy the episode, and yeah, let's get into it. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. So it's like 2 in the afternoon for you right now, isn't it? Did you
Yeah, it's
say?
it's 3. It just it
3.
hit 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I
You
finished
said,
work and then I threw on the quickest face of makeup I possibly could. I was like, I'm going to be on a beauty podcast. And even though it's an audio medium, I still felt like I had to be in the spirit?
well, let's jump right into it. My first question was going to be, where did your makeup journey begin?
My makeup journey began in 2016. think modern renaissance just came out, like the big, like I would say it's like a second boom, because the naked palettes I think in my head are like the first big makeup booms of like recent times. And then I was like part of the modern renaissance boom of things, but I didn't start wearing makeup until Halloween of that year, because I was going as Bianca Del Rio for Halloween. I asked one of my
Love
friends
that.
to do my makeup for me because she's like a very talented makeup artist, because I didn't want to have to learn. I didn't want to have to do that. And then she was like, I think you can do it. So then I spent so much money on all of this makeup to do drag. I haven't done drags. Well, I've like done drag makeup since, but I'm not a drag queen by any means. But that's how I got into it. And my Bianca Del Rio makeup was not great. And there's not very many pictures of it, which thank God.
I've done drag once, and I was like,
Mhm.
ticked it off the list, done it, never to do it again.
Did you do it for money or just for Halloween, or like just for like dressing up?
I performed. It wasn't really for the
Okay.
money, but it was like an art form kind of thing I wanted to like get out there. Did it?
Mhm.
I was like, now I'm done. Don't have to do it again. Don't ever do that again.
It's so hard. And I just did it to walk around. I wasn't even trying to perform or like make money in it. I just was like, I like this person. I would like to look like them if I could.
Is that why you shaved your eyebrows off, or is that just
And, okay, so I feel like so many people ask me why I don't have eyebrows, and this is a great place to just like cover it, check it off the list. So my eyebrows grow really close to my eyelids. So if I were to do any kind of makeup, beauty makeup or anything, it all would just kind of get sucked in. I have like hooded eyes too and a heavy brow bone. So I like my crease, what I use as my crease is like where my eyebrow would be if I still had them. So like imagine me doing a beauty channel where like you just couldn't see any of the eye makeup I was putting on. But it started in stages. I was one of those people who's like, I'm just gonna shave off the tail and then I can draw in the tail so I still look like a normal person. And then it I got broken up with, and I was like, I'm gonna take control. I want to look like an alien. I don't want anyone to be attracted to me ever again. And so I just started, I shaved them off. And that was like now 3 years ago. So it's been a long time. I like the way I look without eyebrows. I think I look weird with them now. I don't know. I don't think I would like it.
but I feel you on that. I've currently got like half eyebrows and tattoos here. But I feel you in terms of like eyebrows being too low. So like I've got barely any space between like my crease and my
Mhm.
eyebrows. I end up trying makeup ends up going further out this way rather than just
Yeah,
yeah.
my wings used to like go into my hairline because it was like drama. That's the only place I could do it.
Which I really like about your makeup. Like your makeup's quite like really soft and beauty, but like not traditional beauty makeup, if you know what I mean. Like
Yeah, I think so. This is like my current evolution. My makeup used to be a lot harsher, a lot more colorful, a lot more like in your face, which I still like to do from time to time. Like I every now and then I do it. But what I have found like in what I do now, at least on YouTube, is that like people who are watching me are very likely not going to try to recreate what I do. So they would need to see the makeup that they would likely wear it. So I still feel like I have like an alternative edge, but it's just more beauty than it is like more harsh looks.
I also feel like, and I hate to sound like that this person, but like as you get like older, your tastes do kind of mature. Like I used to have all the rainbow palettes going, and now most of my palettes are like the Hindash's palettes and a Viseart palette, and I'm like, oh, I'm just like a neutral nano now. Like
I feel the same way. And it was like I feel like I hit 31 and I was like, let's try these neutrals everyone has been talking about. And then it's just like it just makes you feel good and it's like a lot less challenging, right? There's a lot less like guesswork in it. It's like if you're using the Hindash palette, that does the work for you. You don't even have to think twice when you're using a Hindash palette. And I'm like, that's the kind of makeup I I want to be doing.
honestly, the amount of times as well before I would do like be wearing an outfit, do a bright, colorful look, and then be like, these colors aren't going. I don't know why I've just done this. And I was like, oh great.
I was the worst at highlight. I would always pick like I would do like a warm tone look, and then I would be like, I want to wear this highlight, and it was like a cool tone highlight, and it just looked god awful. I was so bad at it. I was like, I can't. Why can't I figure this out?
What made you start your YouTube channel? Because I know you started that in 2021, right? So like was that during pandemic times?
So fervently was doing it in 2021. That was when I'd say I was giving it my best go. But there are videos on my channel older than that. So like when I first started my YouTube channel, I was like, I'm gonna be like all the beauty gurus. I want to be like just like all of them. Like I want to be like Manny MUA. I want to be like Tati. I want to be like all of these people because it was like they were giving this perception that they were like living this fabulous lifestyle. And like I guess they kind of were, but like we all now have seen the other side of what that all was if you are like into this like beauty YouTube online. But when I started in 2021, I quit Sephora. So I used to work for Sephora. I worked there for like 4 years. I ended my time there. Everything was amicable. It was just like it was starting to turn into something that I wasn't enjoying anymore. And I was like, maybe not working there for about a month. And I was like, I'm still meant to work in beauty, but it needs to look different and like better for me. So I started making videos after that. Like I think the first thing I made back was like a declutter because I like had all this free makeup that I got at Sephora and I was like, what do I even like? But then about a few months into that, I was like, oh, I don't want to just be like a beauty tuber who buys everything. Like I have way too much makeup. We need to reel this in. So I like did a no buy. So like the first half of my first year back on YouTube was like trying to figure out what I was. And then I did the no buy and I was like, I'm the conscious consumerist, I guess is like really where I found myself. And I was like, this feels right.
Do you find it quite challenging being that kind of conscious consumerist in beauty and in beauty on YouTube, especially like, there's constantly new stuff going out. It's like one of the things
Yeah.
we made very sure when I started the podcast was like, this podcast isn't about promoting all the new products or talking about the new products. Like when we do our beauty news, it's focusing more like the business side of things or trends rather than be like, here's all the new things that you can buy. Like it must be quite hard to be that conscious person, especially when there's like all that PR and stuff going around too.
Yeah. So I think when you're first starting to be like if you're starting to like find yourself in the conscious consumerism bit, I do think it's easier to start with like a no buy or like a low buy to like really show people what your heart is really at when it comes to beauty. I get a little bit of PR now, but I think I have worked really hard with all of the content I've done up until the point where I started getting PR where it was like, no, Tom is really going to just review these products, let us know what's really good, and then move on from it. Because I got like, for example, I got a bunch of Surat PR. Like they sent me like almost their entire line. And I was like, this is way too much makeup for any person to get at one time. But I was like, I'm gonna review it. And it I also have a very slow reviewer. So it like took me months to get through everything and really feel everything out. And then I presented the video and I was like, this is the stuff that's good enough to buy. This is the stuff that I would skip. I'm getting rid of all the stuff that I would skip. I'm going to find a new home for it. So I think the constant cycle of just like talking when I get something new in, I never really consider it mine until I've done a lot of testing on it. So I think people see the things that I'm testing a lot on my channel more than one time. And this isn't to be like accusatory to other beauty tubers, but you know how you see someone use something one time, they tell you how they feel about it, and then you never see it again. That's like not really I do, because it's like you're gonna see something like 100 times. So I'm gonna be like, now I know this is how I feel about this thing. Because I don't think that most people could use something one time and really decide how they feel about it. So I do get criticism sometimes though, whenever like I choose to buy, like I bought something from the Sephora sale, even though I've done content about talking people out of the Sephora sale, but I didn't buy like a ton of stuff, but I bought mostly stuff to make content with, which is like also a weird thing I find myself in now.
Yeah, that kind of weird dichotomy of being like, I have to buy stuff for content, but then buy stuff for yourself too, and like how they are kind of separate, I guess, now for you.
They are. So I try to make it pretty explicit whenever I'm like buying something that I'm interested in. And normally what I'm interested in is something that came out 5 years ago that I never tried. And I'm like, I really heard good things about that. So I think it's time for me to really figure it out. But right now there's this eyeshadow in one of the Pat McGrath palettes that I'm decluttering that I want to dupe the shade. But really what the point is, I'm buying all these eyeshadows to dupe the shade, but what I'm really going to be doing is reviewing a bunch of eyeshadow formulas all at once in one video while also duping the Pat McGrath shade. So it's like it's everything kind of serves multiple purposes. But like the last time I bought a lot of makeup for a video was like cream contours, which is like informative for a bunch of people as opposed to just like being for me, where it's like I tested 10 cream contours. Here's how I feel about them. So I feel like whenever I am investing in my channel, it's not like always going to be the newest thing, but like every now and then I'm really interested in a new thing. That's how I ended up with the Yucca palette from Natasha Denona.
And do you still use like the 10 contours? Do you keep them? Do you donate them? Or do you use them up? Like how would you do with this like excess of makeup, I guess, that you end up
So
having?
I have found myself in a really nice corner of Instagram where a bunch of other small creators we like all kind of follow each other. So whenever I'm done with something on, I try to add as many people onto my close friends as I can. I'll be like, here's stuff that I'm decluttering. It's yours. Just ask me for it. And then they'll either pay for shipping or whatever. But I've kind of found myself where we're all just sending stuff to each other all of the time. I have found after COVID, it's like a little more difficult to donate makeup unless it's like 100% unused. So, but I'm not like, if I ever get PR and I don't touch it and like no one near me, like no one in my direct vicinity wants it, I would definitely donate that. But I try to, if I get something exciting and I review it and I don't want it, I can send it to another creator who probably couldn't afford it or like didn't have the opportunity to get that PR. I'll send it to them and then they can review it and make content with it. So I want everyone to like experience it. But also I have friends in my life who just love makeup and don't do content. Good for them. Godspeed.
Do you still like have that love of makeup outside of your like content you create too? Like, do you wear makeup on the daily out or not on the daily, but like do you wear makeup outside of just creating content for it as well now? Because I know some people get really like tired of wearing makeup when they're not doing the content for it.
I still prefer to do makeup off camera. I still don't, it's not that I don't feel comfortable or confident putting makeup on camera. I really feel like whenever like I want to put on a podcast or like listen to music while I do my makeup. And then also I find that I will really take the time to finesse something. So like anytime you see like a bold look from me, it's because I had time and I didn't have to talk someone through what I was doing. And I find that really cathartic. I've always found the process of applying makeup for myself really cathartic. I don't wear it daily. I normally am wearing it like if I'm going out or like sometimes if I have time, I'll just like do a face of makeup and it's not for Instagram or whatever. But I definitely have found myself at times being like, well, I have to put on makeup today because I'm a content creator and I need to like put on makeup, whether or not it's like for photos for my grid or if I'm making short form content or whatever. It's just like, it's sometimes but I never get exhausted of the process of putting on makeup. It's the making the content stuff that normally I find more exhausting than the makeup part of things.
Yeah, no, I feel you in that. Whenever I'm like, oh, I need to like do a TikTok, like a makeup TikTok, I'm like, that's gonna mean putting my makeup on is gonna take like 4 times as long as it normally does. And it's just that so often I'm like, oh, I forgot to do it. Like,
Exactly.
I saw this on the thumbnail of a YouTube video a couple of days ago, and I didn't actually watch the video, but I thought it was an interesting question. And the video was about like how PR has killed the beauty community. And I was
Mhm.
going to ask you, do you think PR has ruined the beauty community?
So there's like I think there's certain levels to it. I don't think it's killed the beauty community. I think the people who get PR are likely the people who don't need to get PR in order to make content with it. Like the people who are doing really well on YouTube can afford to buy whatever they want to review. And there are some content creators who are larger that I feel like the only time they talk about makeup is whenever they get PR. And I find that really disappointing because yeah, I get PR sometimes, but there are still makeup items that I want to purchase for myself because I love makeup and I want to test the formulas and I want to get my hands in everything. Um, but like as a smaller creator, it's a nice thing to get PR because it's like I can now review this thing that I couldn't have afforded otherwise because it's like I can only put so much money into my YouTube channel or whatever. And I also think that smaller creators, like I don't know where everyone's threshold is. There is like a stronger level of trust at that point because people don't think that you're trying to get one over them. They don't think that you're like completely money motivated. And it's like, but everyone's trying to grow also whenever you're a content creator. Like you're all trying to hit that point wherever, like most people, not I want to talk for everyone. A lot of people like doing it part-time, but like you're working towards making it something that can fund itself, right? I I never fear talking about how I want to talk about a product. I think some people are afraid to ruin relations with brands. My thing is, if the brand stops sending me PR, I'll just buy whatever I want from them if I want to talk about them. They can't stop me from buying their stuff and reviewing it honestly. And if they didn't like the way I talked about it, they don't have to send me free stuff. I but I understand I can understand that point, but I also like when I see someone get PR of something that when you like know that content creator, like they never would have bought that thing, but they're trying it and they're loving it. Like that's really exciting. Like where like you're like, I would never have bought this thing, but now I have it. And it's really cool. And I think I don't know, but I don't think it's destroying it. I just think it's not being strategically used by
Yeah.
brands and by content creators.
I also wish that more content creators would also kind of understand that like your relationship to a product when it gets sent to you is different to if you were going to bought it. And as much as you
Mm-hmm.
can turn around on the camera and be like, I'm still going to give my honest opinion, there's
Yeah,
still going to be an element of, but I got this for free, so there's no monetary loss in it. So my threshold for me not liking it is going to be a lot lower because I sent it to free. I'm not losing anything if I don't like it, if in that sense, other than like you said, that relationship. But like some content creators kind of when they're giving their reviews, kind of almost miss that bit out of being like, hey, but then my relationship to this product is going to be different because I got sent it for free. So if
yeah.
you got this and we're using it, you might actually not like it for X, Y, and Z reasons that I'm saying I don't mind too much because
I didn't pay any money for it. I try to be very cognizant of that whenever I talk about PR. I know that everyone's not, but like I keep going back to my store review because like that's the most PR that I ever got one time. There was this $50 concealer. It's like in the smallest tube and it feels like drugstore makeup, but I love the product inside. But I know in my review, I was like, I would never pay $50 for this. I don't think you should pay $50 for this, but I really like it and I got it for free. So I'm gonna keep it. But I don't think you should buy it. Like, so like I think whenever people hear if people were more honest about it, I think that everyone would feel better about it. But like, you know, I always pay attention to what content creators buy over and over again if they are like actually using their makeup a lot or whenever they're on camera or I check their description box to see what they're using all the time and then I'm like that's what you really like. That's what you really like. You're not talking about it, but that's your favorite thing.
and that's like what you were saying earlier, like you use a lot of the same products over and over again because they're the products you
Yeah.
like. And you sometimes see influencers be or content creators being like, oh, I need to try something new out because it's getting boring using this one. But I'm like, no, I like the fact that you're using that product over and over again because again, it shows that you like it and you're not just using it for the sake of it, which is what most people buying makeup and watching your content are going to be doing. They're going to buy that one thing and use it till it's finished.
Yeah, yeah. That's like a big cornerstone of what I talk about on my channel because it's like you shouldn't be buying everything. I really hope you're not. Like I'm happy to hear to like guide you through things that are really good that you might be interested in, but I really hope that you're not buying everything to try to emulate an influencer or as someone who gets a lot of PR or has the money to spend on every new release if they have that kind of money. But like yeah, every like I to like throw some examples out from some content creators, like Teresa's dad always uses that thorn oil from Ritual Defeat, and I'm like, I know she loves that. That must be a really good product because she like talks about it a lot, but like also just like uses it in every video she's applying makeup. She's like, this is my favorite thing, and I'm like, it is your favorite thing. It's been 2 years. I've seen you use it like every time you apply makeup. And like Kaki with like the cloud set from Kosas, like, like you just when you see someone using something over and over again, I'm like, that's really that's your favorite thing and I just love that. I don't know, I love to see reuse because that is what everyone who's watching at home is likely doing.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I agree. Like, I love seeing those people. And like you said, you know those products and those content creators. Obviously, I know they're your a lot of them are your friends too. But like,
Yeah,
yeah, Teresa and Kaki, I'm like, oh yeah, when you think of them, you think of those products. Like,
right.
it's great. And recently you hit 5,000 subscribers
I
on
did.
YouTube, which
I
is a really
did.
cool big milestone. And you
Yeah,
went out and
it is.
celebrated as well, didn't you? That was nice.
I mean, I celebrate myself way too much.
Yeah, you can never celebrate
um,
yourself too much.
but like it was my birthday on Wednesday and then I hit 5K the next day. So it was like my birthday slash 5K and then I had a surprise birthday. So I was like celebrating it, but like it felt like a combo. It was like happy birthday, happy 5K. But it does feel like a very palpable milestone and I'm trying really hard to like live in that not a lot of people can even get to 5,000 subscribers, but then there's also the working part of my brain where I'm like I now 10,000, not like that's the next thing I have to hit is 10,000, which is so lame. It's so hard to live in the moment.
I think that's also quite a natural thing to do. Like
Mhm.
everyone's like hits one milestone, oh, it's on to the next one kind of thing. But I
Yeah.
also, like you said, 5,000 is a lot of people too, especially in
Yeah.
this kind of day and age where there's so many content creators out there that like to get to even 5,000, people are specifically choosing you and to subscribe to you are choosing you.
Yeah, I think about every time I need to like check myself. I'm like, if you were in a room with 5,000 people, would you be overwhelmed that they were all like there for you? And I'm like, yeah, 100%. That's wild that 5,000 people have chosen to subscribe to me. And like, not only that, I feel like the people who follow me, at least right now, they're very invested in what I'm doing. So like they're gonna watch a video even if it's something that they're not interested in. So it's very nice. It still feels very good. It hasn't gotten weird yet, but I know that that's likely coming down the pipeline for me.
Have you been like spotted out and about at all at any point, or?
I one time, and it happened, it was very casually, and I didn't really, it was like it was after the fact. So I was like shopping at Sephora with my friend who is like not someone that I like put on videos or whatever, because I think a lot of people right now in my life, my like personal people, like I talk about my roommate Tiffany, they've been on camera with me, so I don't mind talking about Tiffany. And like if me and Tiffany were out and someone clocked us, I think that would make a lot of sense. But I try not to post like my personal friends on my Instagram because, or like in my videos, because my that doesn't belong to me anymore. Like this content is like for other people, and I don't want anything weird to happen to them, because I remember when I first talked about Tiffany, like everyone tried to follow them and their Instagram was private, and I felt like a little bit weird about that. So I try to be very self-conscious about that. But whenever I got spotted, to get back to the actual question, because I have a habit of just tangenting, I was shopping at Sephora with my friend. I was like, then I left Sephora, and then I had an Instagram DM from someone who was at the Sephora. They were like, I saw you. I didn't know you lived in Pittsburgh. And like, I was like, I talk about being in Pittsburgh all the time. I don't know how you could have missed it. Like, this is where I live. But that was the only time I've, at least to my knowledge, that I've been clocked and like told about it afterward. I haven't been approached in real time, and I think about that sometimes, like I don't know how that's going to go over. Not in a bad way. I'm just going to be overwhelmed and not know what to do. I'm going to be like, you okay, hi, hello. you know
Yeah, it's amazing, especially because it'll probably happen somewhere you're doing something completely and utterly random, and you're like, "This has
uh-huh.
completely thrown me, and now I have no idea what I'm doing or how to speak."
I don't leave the house now unless I feel like I look acceptable. Like I don't wear bum clothes anymore, because I'm like, the day it will happen was the day I slip up. That's whenever someone's gonna recognize me. And I just can't let it happen.
They leave the house every day in a full Beyonce get up. We love it.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah. Everyone's looking at me weird in my neighborhood. They're like, "Huh? Why? Don't worry about it. I have to look good, okay?"
And you were saying earlier, but like you've got like loads of like content creation like channels. Like you obviously have your YouTube, your Instagram, your Patreon, or the pod. You do like two podcasts as well, don't you?
I do. Yeah.
How, as well as having a job, how do you do it all?
That's a good question. I feel like I first of all, I appreciate that you acknowledge the amount of work that goes into that, because you also create content too. So like you get it. I think sometimes people hear all of that and they're like, uh-huh, that's nice. Like I feel like they don't think too much about it. But yeah. Um, how do I do it? Uh uh, it's my priority. Like it's all kind of my priority right now. I don't want to work my 9 to 5 anymore, so I'm working really hard to get away from it. I know it's not going to happen overnight, so I I also don't want anyone to admire the fact that I'm working this hard. I don't think anyone else should do it. Like it's really hard, and it's very time consuming, and luckily like at the way that my life is kind of structured right now, I'm not taking time away from anyone. Like I do still make time for people when they ask me, and then I just kind of adjust my timing around whenever they want to see me. Um, but yeah, like so I work from 6 a.m. to 2:30, and then from 2:30 until like bedtime, I'm working on content. Most of the time it's YouTube. Like YouTube is first, and then the podcast with Kaki is second. And then me and Tiffany make episodes of that whenever we can, our other like that podcast. It's not like we're both very busy, so it's like, do we have time? Do we have time this week? And if we do, then we will make it. And then sometimes I do, whenever I feel like it, I'll make short form. I don't always have the energy for that, but like I do make it a priority. Yeah, like I said, I don't think anyone should aspire or want to work that hard. But I just know it's kind of like the reality. If I want to get out of it faster, if I want to get out of my 9 to 5 faster, it's going to require more work. I don't have to post 3 videos a week. I choose to post 3 videos a week. And it definitely has pushed me forward. Like there are a lot of people that, whenever you're a growing content creator, you follow a lot of people who are the same size as you. And I've found myself growing faster than my friends who like make 1 video a week. And that's not a brag. It's just, I think it's because I'm producing more content.
And you must edit all this stuff yourself, right? Because I'm assuming you edit it all yourself. And
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I don't like my YouTube does not make enough money for me to like pay some like I would be at zero so fast if I paid someone to edit my videos. Also, my turnaround time, it's not like my videos get it's like I record the video one day, I edit it the next day, I post the day after that. The day I post, I'm recording the next video, and the day after that post, I'm editing. Like, like it's just a constant cycle. An editor can't turn around my content that fast. And also, like, I have this fear that they're gonna turn my content into something I don't want it to be, or like edit in a way that doesn't feel like me. And I used to hate editing, but now I kind of like it. So it's something that I think I could eventually see myself letting go of that task whenever like things are too busy. Like maybe if I'm still working my full-time job and making content, but it's now become like a bigger part of my life, I'd be like, okay, something has to go. But like at my size, you don't make a lot of money on YouTube through AdSense. So it's the real reality of the situation.
do you have dreams one day of like starting your own makeup line or anything like that?
No, I don't. I really don't. I think like in the past I've definitely thought that. I I I don't want to be in the zeitgeist as a makeup reviewer, and then a makeup reviewer that has a brand where other people can review the makeup that they produce. And I like that just feels like a lot of like a PR nightmare just waiting to happen. And I don't want to do it. But like I think that would change my love of beauty too. Like making cosmetics, I think would really change it. And I also don't know that I would ever be in the place to like make the brand that I would want. Like, of course, the thought has crossed my mind where I'm like, what would a makeup brand that I want to make be like? And it's just like, I like luxury makeup and I don't have $1 billion to throw down to make a beauty line.
I also think like as well, like makeup now has kind of almost become what fragrances was like 15 years ago, where like every celebrity or everyone of
Mm-hmm.
interest has got a line, and some lines are you can tell someone's put more effort into it than other people have, and hot private labeling and all that kind of stuff. So I
Yeah.
feel like as well, it's kind of like especially like knowing that from yourself that actually that's not the space I want to kind of be entering for myself. What I want to make a business out of in terms of making
Yeah.
my own version of it. I don't need to put my own stamp on that side of things.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get swept up. Like I would do a collab if I was like approached by a brand I trust to do a collab. I would do that, but I don't want to be in charge of my own brand. It's like not I have to be someone's boss and I don't want to do that. I
Yeah.
really don't want to be anyone's boss.
Fair. Feel you on that one. As we're coming to the end, the last question I like to ask everyone: what was the first makeup item you ever bought or was bought for you?
Does a lip balm count or no?
I guess you can say that, but then also say something a bit more exciting.
Okay, so no. So like I'm thinking of like the first thing I ever bought at Sephora was the Bite lip mask, like the OG had lanolin in it. Because I had really bad lips and someone let me use some of theirs and I was like, this is amazing. Where can I get it? And then I went to Sephora and that was the first time I was slapped across the face on like how expensive cosmetics were. Cause I think it was like $30 and that was like almost 10 years ago at this point. I just was like, $30. I bought it. I bought it. But the first like the first makeup item that I bought, I'm trying to think of like whenever I started doing like the drag makeup, I didn't know what I was getting into. So it was like a lot of like Nick stuff. But the first like thing that I bought where I was like, I'm in it was the Huda Beauty palette, the first iteration of the rose gold palette that was clear on top, and then like it had the really weird finger painting formula in it, and I was like, this is the best thing I ever bought. I got rid of that so fast, like I decluttered it so fast. It's like it's so long gone in my collection, but that was the first thing I bought, and I was like, I'm just like everyone else. And that palette was $65 at the time. I think about that like I would never have paid $65 for that today.
No, no. But then nowadays, $65 for an eyeshadow palette.
It's
As most of
common.
them, yeah.
That's yeah. Someone was like I heard someone complaining about the makeup by Mario palette being like $70. It was like Natasha Denona 65, Huda 69. Like it's like all the same price now. And it's like I remember when Modern Renaissance was like $40, but I bet that doesn't even cost that anymore. It's also expensive.
Well, now they bring out the mini versions to make it cheaper, but they're the same price as what they originally were when they came out.
Not the minis. Not the minis. They look so trash.
They really do. And I saw a picture yesterday. I sent it to my one of my friends of like the sultry palette, and on one website it looked like a cool tone, and in the other website picture, like one beside each other, it was warm tone, and I was like, "This isn't meant to be the same palette. They look completely different." I was like, "What is going on
Yeah.
here?"
Makeup imagery, man, it can get you.
Honestly, especially like depending on where you're looking at it, like especially like the
Yeah.
trend mood and all that kind of stuff. Like sometimes you're looking, I'm like, "Oh, I like this," and you actually see a proper photography, and you're like, "Is that the same thing that was mentioned?" Because
Me with a Natasha Denona, I need a nude. I was like, this isn't cool tone. This is just neutral. But okay.
oh, don't. That's one of my big gripes is people calling like things cool tone when they're not neutral or any brown shade neutral. I'm like, no, no, no. It's either a neutral brown shade or it's a brown shade because you can get neutral blue shades. Like,
Yeah. People are like, brown is neutral, neutral is nude. It's like, okay, what are we
yeah,
even talking about anymore?
literally, I'm just like art theory. So I'm like khaki now.
Oh, you could go off. You and Kaki could have a one-on-one. I back out. I'm like, I barely know what's happening here. I gotta go.
That's the one weird thing though. Like I remember when I was back at school doing like art was being so
Mhm.
bad at it, not never understanding those kind of like techniques or how to paint things. And now I like do like play with makeup so much. I'm like, if I knew then what I knew now about makeup, I'd have been so much better at art at school. Like,
At least the color theory part.
yeah, just like how to shade and how to make things look. I'm like, ah, that's what my art teacher was trying to
Yeah.
get at. Well, that's kind of all we have time for this episode. For anyone that doesn't know or doesn't already follow you, where can they find you online?
I'm everywhere at Hautemess Tom. It's HAUTEMESSTOM. YouTube channel is where it's at. I would start there and then find me elsewhere because I don't make a lot of short form content if that's what you're there for. And I also don't post on my grid on Instagram a lot, but my stories, I'm always talking about some nonsense in there. So if you're into that, you can go there too.
But yeah, thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was great chatting with you. And that's all we have time for this week. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I had a really good time talking to Tom. I hope you had a great time listening. Don't forget to follow them on social media, on their YouTube channel. They make some really amazing, great content that's really thorough, interesting, and really, really not trying to sell you stuff a lot of the time. It's just talking about their love and their passions, which I really, really enjoy and really appreciate. And also, don't forget to follow the podcast on whatever streaming platform you're listening on, so you can listen to the next episode when that comes out next month. And to make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Turning Lewks Pod. It really appreciate it. And don't forget to leave a comment if you liked it. And we will see you again soon. Bye.